It's 8:32. In the past few years, many people in Metro Atlanta lost their homes due to foreclosure, but you still need a place to live, right? And if owning a home is part of your plan, a lease purchase might be something to consider. Fox 5 real estate expert John Adams joins us now. And this is, good morning to you, John. This has always been something that's intrigued me, but there are a lot of fine details you better take care of.
There really are. This is not a traditional real estate transaction, and as a result, you really need to have an attorney involved. But it can be a win-win. It has been tarred and feathered as a scam, and it's not. It's really nothing more than a lease with an option to purchase if you want to, but you don't have to.
Which works in lots of other areas of our life.
Exactly.
I have a lot of questions about this. Let's start with, is there an upfront fee of any kind, and is it refundable?
You know, we're all familiar with the idea of a security deposit on our rent, and if you take care of the property, you get that back. Well, this is different. You are actually paying the owner of the property a fee for the option to purchase, and typically you don't get that back, and it may be, depending on what the seller wants, up to several $1,000s. So that's negotiable, but yes, there's going to be an upfront fee, and you will not get that back typically.
And how about the term of that option?
Very good question. Typically, remember, your credit has been damaged.
Right.
It takes a while, so you should meet with a lender, find out if you realistically can. But for most people, 36 months is just about right, because if you keep your credit nose clean, so to speak, 36 months later, you'll probably qualify for an FHA loan.
All right, bottom line, you got to make a payment each month. So is the rent competitive?
Well, if the rent's not competitive, then you're paying additional fees for that option. Now, that may be okay with you if you really are sure you want to buy the house, but just understand that there's no such thing as a last house, and I wouldn't pay a lot more than the rent in order to get the option. Remember, you've already paid a fee for that.
Okay, so does a portion of that rent, though, apply toward this future purchase?
Now we're talking. Typically, they'll add $100 to the rent and say, we'll give that back to you toward the purchase price, and maybe even more. Remember, this is a win-win. We're looking for a win-win structure here, one that allows both the seller and the buyer to accomplish what they want. The seller wants to sell, the buyer wants to buy. How do we structure that? It's not a traditional transaction in real estate, and there's so many variables. That's why it's very important to get help.
So what will the selling price be?
That is so critical. You know, so many people try to establish a selling price up front. That's unrealistic. If you pick a price that's too high, the property won't appraise when the time comes. If you pick a price that's too low, the seller's going to feel ripped off and try to get out of the transaction. The solution, I think, is to wait until you exercise that option. Then both the buyer and the seller goes out, hires an independent appraisal. They're going to come in real close to each other, just split the difference. That's the fair way to do it.
So you don't have to buy. You're not locked in. You can walk away.
Exactly. And the key here is, because it's an option, you have the right but not the obligation to purchase this property. So if you get 2.5 years in, your situation has changed, you've taken a job somewhere else, just walk away. You're probably going to lose that option fee, but nonetheless, you had the option to do it, you paid for that, you're done.
Your most important point, though, is?
Absolutely. Have a real estate attorney look at this ahead of time, because once you sign on the dotted line, it's all over.
All right, great advice as always. I've always been intrigued by this, and now I learned a lot today. John, thanks a lot. And John's going to be here after the show taking your questions on Facebook Live. You can also find this segment on our website, fox5atlanta.com. 8:36 is your